Okay, so take a look at the problems of the day. There's two of them. Describe and correct the error in graphing the inequality. Pause the video and figure it out. And then when you're ready, resume to lesson 2.4. All right, so lesson 2.4 is write equations of lines. And we spent a lot of time graphing lines, graphing inequalities, talking about slope. Well, now we're going to start getting into the technical aspect of it by writing these equations. So how to write an equation of a line. To sort of refresh your memory, I have three scenarios that we'll take a look at all today. If you have m and b, well, we need the slope and y-intercept of m and b. So simply, you'll just plug them into the formula y equals mx plus b. That's an easy one. Second scenario, you have a point x comma y and m, your slope. So step one, plug x, y, and m into y equals mx plus b and solve for b. Two, then plug only m and b back into y equals mx plus b. Now, as you see, I keep adding one step to it. In the third option, if you have x1, y1, x2, y2, so you have 2 points. You have to first find slope for m, which is here. Then choose one point and use m, plug into y equals mx plus b and solve for b. Then finally, step 3, then plug only m and b back into the formula y equals mx plus b. So we're going to take a look at each scenario here. And we'll start off with an easy one. Example 1, it says, write the equation in slope-intercept form given m and b. And if we look, if you have m and b, all right, so it's going to follow this one. All right, so my step is, there's only one step, plug them into y equals mx plus b. So y, let's change the color here. I think it will be okay. Y, a little bright there. Y equals 3/4 x plus a negative 2 or minus 2. And yes, you will see ones that simple. That's my answer. Now, obviously, I can't give you a whole bunch of those where you're just plugging them in. So as you see, we're going to take a look at the next one down where I have a point and m. And if you have to at any point, refer back to it. There we go. I just want to find the rest of there. Okay. Example 2, write an equation of the line that passes through 8, negative 1. There's a slope of negative 1/2. All right. So if you go back, it says plug in your x, y, and m into the formula y equals mx plus b. All right, and actually, before I do that, just in case you need to label it, this is my x, this is my y, this is my m, right? So the only letter we're missing is b. So I'm going to use the formula y equals mx plus b, the equation of a line. And now I'm going to plug in the numbers. Negative 1 equals negative 1/2 times 8 plus b. So you see I have every single letter except b or my y-intercept. All right, we're going to solve that. So I get negative 1 equals, that will simplify to negative 4 plus b. I'll transpose the negative 4 over to the left as a positive 4 equals b. b equals negative 1 plus 4 is 3. Now, I'm not finished, so here's my first answer, and I sometimes like to circle it. So I got my b. b is 3. We're not actually done. Step 2 says take your m and your b and plug it back in. So slope and y-intercept only. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. Now this is my final answer here. Back as your equation of your line. Okay? So let's continue on here. And the next one, now I'm going to add a little extra here. We're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular. And I give you an equation to determine. The equation is used just to find the slope here. So it says write an equation of the line that passes through negative 2, 1 and is A parallel to, B perpendicular to. But first things first, you have an x and y. Let's start there. I have a single point and I need my slope. So it's still like the last one. But the difference is I'm not coming straight out and telling you what m or your slope is. My slope is going to be based off of this number. And what I usually like to tell everybody is take the time and can't cross out the b. We're going to actually find our own y-intercept or b. So that's irrelevant or is not important. Okay, so let's start A. Okay. Let's write it down. If I have a parallel lines means slope is the same, right? So the -3 that was circled over there, I'm going to use -3. I'm going to use my point -2, 1. And before I move on, I'm going to set up B as well. Think though for a second, my slope is going to be a little bit harder for B. Think about what slope means for perpendicular lines. Slope is a negative reciprocal. So I'm not actually going to use -3. I'm going to flip it and change the sign. So my slope for B is positive 1/3 while using -2, 1. So where it looks a little more complicated, honestly, all you're doing is you're taking that equation and determining what your slope is from it. That's it. It looks worse than it is. All right, so let's plug everything in here. So we have y equals mx plus b. So I get 1 equals m -3 times x plus b. 1 equals 6 plus b. 1 minus 6 equals b. Get b equals -5. And if I want to write my equation here, I take the equation, just plugging in, move it over here a little bit, my m and my b. So y equals -3x minus 5. And that's my answer to the first one. Remember, what I like to do is when I label them, I actually cross out the y-intercept, I circle the slope. I actually write out what my m and what my point is, just to make sure I don't mess anything up when I rewrite it. All right? So let's take a look at the perpendicular one. We talked about negative reciprocals, so we're using slope 1/3. So let's plug this into our formula. 1 equals mx, so parenthesis, 1/3 times x, which is -2, plus b. Let me move that over so you can see it. I'm going to get a fraction for this one, right? And I multiply it out. I get 1 equals -2/3 plus b. 1 plus 2/3 equals b. B equals 1 and 2/3. And as the last part here, we're going to plug in only m and b. Now be careful. Why do I like to write the m over? Because this is where I'm going to look when I plug it back in. It's not the slope of -3. It's actually the 1/3 that I came up with. So y equals 1/3 x plus 1 and 2/3. That's my answer. And you could change it if you want to. You can make it a mixed number, or excuse me, an improper fraction. It is a mixed number. So it could be y equals 1/3 x plus 5/3, and that's okay as well. All right. So now we looked at step 2, where you have a slope and you have a point. And here they didn't come right out and say the slope, but you had to use what you knew about parallel and perpendicular. All right. But now let's take a look at one where we're giving you everything here. We're going through all of them. Let's see. Keeps cutting off that one part here. All right, so for this example, we have the third type where you have to find slope first. So use your slope formula. And check your work. You should get -5/2. From there, you're going to take that in some point, oops. So what I would do in the next step is I'm going to write it over here, m equals -5/2. Pick a point. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I like to rewrite them. Like so. And then plug it into y equals mx plus b. So I actually write them over. Take a minute to solve it. When you solve, you should get b equals 0, actually. Plug back in just the slope and the y-intercept. Or you could also say just y equals -5/2. That's your answer. So it doesn't matter which point you pick, and if you wanted to, you could test it out and see if you picked the other ordered pair, but you'll get the same answer. That's it for the lesson today. Make sure you pause the video or look at your notes, answer all the questions, and we will pick up tomorrow.